Hello, we're doing a weekly podcast and we're back again this week. And this week's topic has been chosen by Bella, the biology of beliefs. Welcome, Bella.
Welcome. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm going to just hit go live on my Instagram.
Sure. Okay, we're gonna go live on Instagram so that we can be on live on both channels.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
there. Okay. Hello, Kiko. It's so good to see you again.
Yay!
And yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this. I just posted my first article in a three-part series on my blog, and it's a series on beliefs, inspired by the Biology of Belief book written by Bruce Lipton. Have you heard of that book?
Yes, I have.
It's really good. Have you read it?
I haven't read the book, I think, but I have watched quite a few videos by him.
Yeah, there are so many. It's you can really get the gist of the book just by looking at his videos for sure. So yeah, we're talking about the power of the mind essentially. That's really what we're talking about here. And beliefs are I was inspired to write this first article. Hold on a second. Do we need to do any introductions before I jump in?
Let's do that. Okay,
Okay.
well, you go first.
Well, my name is Bella, and I've been plant based for close to 30 years and raw for 11 years. And I've written a couple books on raw vegan nutrition. And I have a blog called rawvegannofriends.com. And I'm happy to be here on this podcast with Kiko.
Yay! Okay, so as for me, I have been raw vegan for over 21 years, and Bella, who has no vegan, raw vegans, no friends, and we made uh, beautiful friendship after that podcast. So I have been really enjoying this connection with her, learning from her, and when we are going through some difficult time, we can share. And yeah, she has been a very good friend of mine starting just this year. But honestly, there are things that I don't share that I have been able to share with uh, confident and at ease. So thank you, Bella.
Thank you, Kiko. Yeah, it's funny. I started the blog in April, so it's not that old. And the moment I decided to write the blog, it was in a moment of frustration because I had felt like I'd been working so hard for so many years to try and get to myself to a certain health point, but I was continuously feeling more and more isolated. And I've always had friends, I've always had people around me, but always I've always been the different one in the room. I've never really had any friends who shared my health philosophy, and I just sort of developed an attitude of that's okay. I'm used to being an outsider. I've sort of developed a comfort level with being a little different. But at this one point, sometime in April, I had just had my birthday. That might have something to do with it. I felt like I'm so tired of just like living in my own head with this philosophy and never having anybody to talk to. So I'm just going to start this blog and I'm going to call it Raw Vegan No Friends because I thought it was kind of funny. And it's what's really interesting is that the day I thought about launching it, Lissa from Raw Food Romance wrote to me a direct message and asked if I would be part of the Raw Vegan Bundle.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and it's not like we were like best friends or anything. We'd casually connected before, but this was out of the blue. I hadn't really heard from her in a long time. And I wrote back to her and I was like, I'd love to do something. As a matter of fact, I'm working on this blog idea. And I told her the title, and she wrote back with this like laughing emojis, and she thought it was so funny. And I was like, all right, if I got her confirmation, I'm going to go through with it. And so I went ahead and hit publish that afternoon. And
Oh,
then
wow.
you and I connected, and it's funny how that happens. Now I do feel like I have raw vegan friends.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It's so interesting. Thank you for sharing. And I always felt the same way. I work in a, like a big companies, and I have that part of me, connecting with business people. And now, yeah, they always look at me kind of strange, but they thought that was funny and cute. And because I was hiding it in a way. But that's like a whole different topic. So let's get to today's topic. Um, this is very interesting because Bella kept asking, because I speak four different languages, right? Japanese, English, French, and Spanish. And I think the conversation, we've talked about how different language has a different feeling. So Bella wanted to speak about this specifically with me. So I'll let you share why you wanted to talk about this today.
Yeah, so beliefs, that's a topic that's consistently on my mind. It's just one of the things that I always think about. I'm always wondering about my own beliefs. I'm constantly aware of the beliefs in the culture. I pay attention to different attitudes and thought forms that exist in the culture, and I notice when they shift in a different direction. And I've been like this since I was a kid. And I talked about why in my blog article. I talked about how I moved to a small, I call it a Bible town. It was just like a really small religious town, and not everybody was religious, but a lot of people were. And my family was not part of the religion that was part of the dominant culture. And it caused a lot of problems for me socially. Like I wasn't allowed to play with certain kids because they saw me as a threat. Their parents saw me as a threat. Sometimes adults could be really mean and cruel to me. I'm sure in their mind they were being helpful, but it was actually kind of cruel the way they would talk to me. And so I developed this obsession with belief systems and trying to understand how they shape us. Now we live in an era where people actually talk about belief systems as creating your reality, and they call it the law of attraction. And so this has become kind of a mainstream obsession as well with a lot of health oriented people. And so I can talk about this topic with people quite easily. But so quickly, I have launched a series on my blog about beliefs and how they affect your health. And I'd love to talk about that a little bit with you, Kiko. Um, but I was specifically curious about bringing it up with you today because I was thinking about how when we speak a foreign language, when we are able to get into the language mindset that's not our native tongue. I mean, I have very limited experience. I'm not fluent like you are in other languages. I have just like a kindergarten level of Spanish. So if I go to a Spanish country, I can engage in a conversation. I probably sound like a kindergartner speaking Spanish. Like it's that bad. But even in that experience, I've been able to get into a different mindset. And I've noticed that it makes me feel different, and it makes me feel like I can maybe have a different perspective. And so I've always wondered, when people speak fluently other languages, and then you get yourself, I know you're an interpreter, so you're regularly speaking other languages. And I'm curious to know how this affects your belief system in that moment. I'm curious to know about that. But I think maybe before we get into that, maybe we should talk a little bit about how belief affects health. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Sounds great. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. So I'm going to try to do my best to explain what Dr. Bruce Lipton discovered in, I forgot the date. It was in the 60s. He was he's a molecular biologist, and he discovered that when he puts these cells in three different petri dishes, and in three different petri dishes, he'll put the same cell, but the cultures, so the environment, like whatever the cells are sitting in, will all be different. And they're three different cultures, so the three different environments. And what he found was that even though the cells themselves were exactly the same, they all developed into three different substances. One developed into bone, the other developed into tissue, and the other developed into muscle. And even though they were the same molecular structure, the environment affected what it actually turned into. And so he developed this entire thesis about how your biology is actually controlled by your belief system. And I was reflecting on this at a time in my life when I was struggling. I was about 6 years into being raw vegan. I was at a perfect weight. I was in really good shape. I was exercising all the time. And I was still struggling with these intense headaches. At least once a week, I was getting a horrible headache. And then I was starting to develop anxiety attacks. And I couldn't figure out, well, I kind of knew what was going on. I knew that it was something in my psychology. And once I started reading the Dr. Lipton book, I realized there was something about my beliefs. There was something about the belief process within me that needed to be examined. And I started asking myself, okay, what is a belief? Let me define this term. And the way I define a belief is a thought pattern that gets played on a loop in your mind over and over and over again for an extended period of time. So not just for 1 day or 2 days, but like weeks, months. You get the same thought pattern on a loop. And then eventually it just kind of settles into your body and becomes a belief. It just becomes part of your personality. And before you know it, you don't even realize it's there. And so as I started to reflect on this, and I started to try to understand how the belief might have been affecting my biology, why it might have been causing my headaches, why it might have been inspiring these anxiety attacks, I realized that when you have a thought pattern like the kids in my neighborhood are not going to accept me, the adults are telling their children that I'm going to go to hell. Like they're saying these thoughts about me not being okay, not being good enough, these fear patterns about not being accepted playing on a loop. And then I thought about what happens when you are in a fear state. When you are feeling threatened, your arms immediately go up to protect your core, your heart, your organs. Your shoulders come up to protect your neck. And you can imagine if you're holding this position without realizing it, you're going to create chronic tension. And I realized that's what was causing all the headaches, was that I had this chronic tension of holding my shoulders up, tensing up, feeling like I was like anytime I went to a social situation, like I just know all these people are going to reject me. They're going to tell me what a bad person I am. And I'm in this chronic state of tension.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really wanted to bring it up now because I feel like I'm witnessing something in the culture where a lot of people are just holding on to all kinds of beliefs that I think are fear-based beliefs. And it's a big problem in my opinion. And so I wanted to try to start a conversation about beliefs and how we could work around. But you're a musician, that's a language in a way. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it does actually, being a musician does kind of put you into a different mindset that's not quite the same as speaking English. And I did sing when I was in high school and in part of college. I used to sing in foreign languages. I used to sing in Italian and German and Latin. And I actually feel more at home singing in Italian than I do in English. My best voice comes out when I sing in Italian.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So
You've
I,
got Italian background, yeah.
what was that?
You've got Italian background.
Yes, that too. Yeah, there's something in my DNA that feels very comfortable there. That's for sure. But so we all kind of know this stuff. I think a lot of us who are health oriented understand that our thoughts and our beliefs matter. And why I was most interested in talking to you is because I'm very interested in taking charge, like not just, okay, so our beliefs control our biology. Great. So I'm a slave to my beliefs. Okay, that's not helpful. But I believe that we can change our beliefs. And so one of the ways I think we change our beliefs is by changing our perception. And you speak multiple languages. And I want to know, when you speak French, do you take on a different perception of the world? Or Spanish, or let's see, you speak English, Spanish, French, and Japanese, right?
Right.
Which one, like, if you could just choose one, like, which one do you feel like when you start speaking it, you feel, does your perception change? I'm curious about that.
Does my perception change? It must change. So, first, okay, my first language is Japanese,
Mhm.
and I learned English right after. Well, we have English education as like basic. We have to go through, I think, 8 years minimum, but like no one speaks English. Like we learn the grammar, but no one speaks English.
Hmm.
And then so I started conversational English after high school, and I went to college in the States when I was 20. So my second language is English. And I have struggled a lot learning English, but when I spoke English, I felt liberated. Liberated. I felt so free, because, okay, so Japanese is, when I speak Japanese, it's very clean, it's very polite, it's really, you know, when I speak certain languages, or whichever the language I speak, I try to speak it well, like the natives. That's what I try to do, and that's how I guess the connection was music, right? And so when I speak English, I just felt so liberated, and with this one language, I was just so impressed that I can speak to the world, right?
Hmm.
Because English is the most used language in the world, and I was communicating with not just Americans or British or Australian. I was communicating with everyone, like in the Southeast, people from Southeast Asia or Europe, and I felt, wow, that like all of the sudden my world is so, it's enormous. I have unlimited access.
Hmm.
Then I started speaking Spanish, because I lived in Costa Rica, and I had a formal training of, this was a government mission. It's like a Peace Corps Japanese version, and their language course is one of the best. They have an immersive course for 2 months. So I was taught by one of the best Spanish speaking teacher, and lived in Costa Rica. And honestly, when I spoke Spanish, not only I felt more liberated, I just felt I was true to myself. Like I found the core.
Hmm.
And Spanish people are more elaborative. It's not as much as Italian, but Italian and Spanish in general, they like speaking with gesture. Their body is more open. They tend to talk a lot more. That's like a two like extreme with Japanese. Less you speak, and silence is beauty in Japanese language. And to Spanish, while you speak, people would interrupt, which is completely okay in Spanish. And Japanese, it's very impolite to
Hmm.
cut someone's sentence. So yeah, so that was a huge difference for me, and I really felt like I found the true Kiko.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then for my fourth language, because my husband is French, actually never liked French. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's a beautiful language," and to me, Spanish and Italian and Portuguese, those languages were beautiful to my eyes. I just loved their language, but because I met the love of my life, I started to learn French. And I started learning French when I was 42. So a lot of people believe that, you can't learn the second, third, fourth language when you're, you know, after 20s. They say that you can't master it. And I by no means I haven't mastered, but I speak French naturally. That's what French people say.
Hmm.
And when I started speaking French, I felt very strange. I felt arrogant.
I'm sorry to laugh. That's
That's
funny.
what that's what a lot of people say. But I almost had to be arrogant, like like this. When I speak French, it's like this. When I speak Spanish, it's like this.
Interesting.
When I speak Japanese, it's like this.
Interesting. And
So
English, how do you feel when you speak English?
I think mix of all that. Yeah, mix somewhere between Spanish and French. I think Japanese is completely different. The grammar is so different. So I would have to change my character almost when I speak in Japanese, or
Hmm.
any language. It's just very different feelings. Now I just do it without noticing, but when I start learning it, it's you just feel it. It's so different. Yeah, it's almost like as if you have to change your body language. So it's very interesting how you have shared, you know, like how your headache was coming to you because it was your body just changed, right? So yeah.
It's very interesting what you say, especially about Spanish, because here in America, the longest living ethnic population is the Latino community. And it's interesting because, I mean, I learned that in my health program, and we were kind of trying to speculate on why that is because we don't really know why that is. And David is Latino, and we talk about it. We together will try to speculate on it together, and we've determined that it's a lot of beans. They eat a lot of beans, which is a really healthy food, as you know. And there's a strong sense of community that Latinos tend to have in America. But now that I'm listening to you talk, now that I'm thinking, and a lot of them actually encourage Spanish, unlike other ethnic communities in America. The next generation learns Spanish and that keeps
Mm.
going. Not everybody, but in general, they tend to pass on their language more than the other ethnic groups. Like with the Italians, it stopped at my grandparents. My mom doesn't speak Italian, um, but with the Latinos, they keep teaching their young people Spanish, and I'm wondering if maybe there's some of that. So let's see what Creative Heart says.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time keeping up with comments, and Ray's liver commented something funny, but I just wanted to be focused. We'll come back to that when I have time.
I
He
have
said
the I have
he's
them showing now.
yeah. Okay. So do you have comments on Creative Heart? Hello, Creative Heart and Ray's
Hello.
liver Liz liver. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Nice to see you guys again. So let's see. So I see you have highlighted. What are your thoughts on kind of false positivity? I know people who always try to stay positive even when they aren't truly feeling that way? Is it better to fake it till you make it? I have thoughts on this. Do you want me to start or do you want to
Yes,
go?
please. Mhm.
I totally know what you're talking about. My personal opinion is I think you make it worse by doing that fake positivity thing because your body knows the truth. So it's like you're trying to lie to yourself, you're trying to gaslight yourself. And if somebody on the outside is trying to gaslight you, that's that can be pretty dangerous and intense. So I'm a big believer in just feeling the feelings. Like if I don't have a very serious commitment and I'm going through a hard time, I'll actually take the day off and just watch movies and I'll just like let myself feel my bad feelings. I'll write and I'll be honest with myself because I find that once I'm honest with the bad feelings, then I have a clear mind and I can figure out what's the actual problem. And then I can figure out the problem and then I can go back to being positive.
Oh, it's funny. I do exactly the same. I am maybe you're also I'm super intense, so I want to face the whatever issues like this,
Mm-hmm.
and if I see it closely, and maybe I might just decide to go, just take an, I might decide to sleep so that I have more, better vision of what I am facing. But I tend to face it, and then when I can face it well, when I know what it is, then I might go through, fake it till I make it, but there has to be some wanting to do it. So like, when I was speaking in Spanish, it was my desire to speak Spanish for a long period of time, and until I took that immersive course of Spanish, I was struggling, but I was, just I like it. It was like a music to my body that just kind of made me dance
Hmm.
in a way that I was very comfortable. I wasn't, I was definitely not good at it, but I enjoyed it. So I just little bit by little, I just learned.
It's almost like speaking Spanish woke up a part of you that maybe had been asleep. It's like
Hmm.
the language was a code that unlocked this little part of you that needed to come out. Isn't that interesting?
So true. Yeah.
And language is a code. Like that's another word for code, and it's a technology. It's interesting. It makes sense.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have another comment that we want to bring up. Actually express true feelings. So many of these things, so many of these things are trauma stuck in the body, and it allows up in different ways. Yeah.
Mhm. So true. Um, mhm. Ah, Race lover, thank you for introducing yourself. You've been 9% raw vegan for 3 minutes.
It's so funny. Oh, where did it go? Never miss a comment. Click on the chat. Okay, wait. We do. Am I showing? We doing introduction? Yeah.
There it is. I've gotten to the top. But yeah, I find one of the reasons why I studied Spanish for a couple years. And before the pandemic, I was going to a lot of Spanish countries, and David speaks Spanish. So I was able to get pretty comfortable. And being in LA, we have a lot of Spanish speakers. And so I had lots of opportunities to practice. And I noticed that it did something for me. It really it got me out of my very English American mindset. It got me more in touch with the Latin side of myself. And I really enjoyed it a lot. And I've been thinking about it a lot and how I've promised my cousins in Italy I will learn Italian. So I'm going to start that process up soon. I hope Kiko starts speaking to Bella arrogantly in French soon.
It's just so fun. I'm sorry. Let's focus on. I, okay. So, is there any other comments that I?
Yes. There we go. You got it. I agree. It's better to feel the feelings. It's just hard because we are almost expected in a way to be happy all the time. That's so true. And actually that actually leads me back into the conversation about language, because I think that it's a very American thing to be happy all the time. And I don't know what it's like in Japan. It sounds like you describe Japanese as being very proper, and I would think that maybe there's some pressure in the same way.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like being around my Italian cousins, they're very comfortable with their feelings. And Italians are very comfortable expressing their feelings. That's why we have a reputation for being hot tempered and, quick to anger, but then everything calms down. But America is not like that. And you're right. We're expected to be happy all the time. What do
Mm,
we do? How do we manage to stay honest with ourselves
mm.
while also being aware that our emotions affect the people around us?
Yeah, I really love this topic, and I love speaking to you, Bella, because you go into very deep level that resonate with me, but at the same time, I felt like I knew it, but I didn't. I wasn't able to structure it, organize it well, and I never connected that belief and music to the languages, and it does make sense. So in a way, be speaking four languages and being an interpreter for each one of them, and I by no mean I don't consider myself a good like a professional interpreter, but I am good at um how do I say it, connecting with people with the same rhythm. I think it connects to music.
Mhm.
You know, I don't sing, but I think I can hum in the same rhythm as French or French, Spanish, Japanese, and English. So your question, answering your question, like being a Japanese woman, I felt so suffocated. Like I felt like I was really like tied like this,
Mhm.
being a Japanese girl. My parents taught me to behave in certain ways. And actually, my full name is Yukiko, and I hate that name. Honestly, I hate that name. So my friends call me Kiko, and that was my nickname since lived in the States, because where I lived in California, there were not too many Japanese, so they couldn't remember my name. It was too long for them. So, I just said, just call me Kiko, and I love it. It's very light,
Mhm.
and Yukiko to me, it's a common name here in Japan, and it's very traditional, and I hate this name because I feel like my parents, there's a you know expectation from my parents
Mhm.
for me to be a perfect Japanese girl, very submissive, very always quiet, who doesn't have any opinion, which is perfect for Japanese women.
Doesn't have what?
Any opinion.
Oh, opinion. Yeah. Yeah.
And they had something completely different.
Thank
Kiko
God
just
you discovered language.
yeah, yeah, and those four languages taught me, I think, true self. I was able to explore different languages, different culture, and in a way that I was accepted to be in a certain way, that I was not, allowed to behave in Japanese culture. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, and one of the I love hearing you tell me this because it's so interesting. First of all, it was interesting how you described speaking Japanese and having this very traditional name. You felt very tight. You described a sensation of your body being tight, and then when you were talking about Spanish and Italian, how you moved forward and you opened up your arms. So you went from protecting your vital organs to being totally trusting and comfortable.
Mm,
And this is one of the things that this is why I wanted to talk about language with you and why I wanted to start talking about beliefs on my blog, because one of the traps I believe that our culture is currently in is this pressure to conform to one particular belief system and divide up into teams that are centered around dogma and beliefs. And I really hate that. It's something that makes me very upset, and because I have my own personal experiences with that way of being, and also, I just think it's such an unhealthy way to live. And you describing your experience with all these different languages reminds me why I think it's so important that we try to understand as much as possible how other cultures and belief systems work. Because you might unlock a code that actually resonates with you that's been dormant, like when you started speaking Spanish, you know?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Thank
is this Bella's channel on this side of the internet?
Yeah,
Mm,
he was connected to my channel. He's so funny. He just went to my channel. He went to the other side.
that's so funny. We are on, I mean, I don't know what, I guess this is both of our, we're
Yeah,
both,
but it shows when he's commenting, he just goes. But anyway, uh, let's focus on this topic.
okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's it's a very interesting perspective, that biology of belief, right? Like how we speak, how we present ourselves connects to not just not just how we present ourselves to others. It affects us. It affects our health as well, and it's quite deep. I never really it makes sense. It's logic, but I never really thought about it this way.
One thing I'm very curious about, if you can add to, I would love to know. I might be hitting you with something you've never thought about before, so I apologize. I hope you can answer my question. If not, it's okay. One of the things I'm very interested when it comes to English is that we have so many homophones or puns. We have so many sound-alike words that have the same sound but totally different meanings. You know what I mean? So like now, of course, that I'm talking about it, I'm drawing a blank. Like uh, okay, hair, my hair, and then a hare is also a rabbit.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, I mean that's like one of the most boring examples I could have come up with, but we have so many puns, so many. Like labor is a word for work, like the way you spend your hours working, but also to go into labor is to give birth to a child.
True.
So we have so many puns, and there's a really interesting esoteric belief that some of these puns are meant to manipulate the population, like on a subliminal level, on a subconscious level. So
Mm.
sometimes people, I know I'm getting conspiratorial, but sometimes people will use like certain words. Like there's this great poet named Laurel Erica, and she wrote a poem um, called Secret Spells of the English Language. And it's all about how we wake up and we're in mourning. Mourning meaning grieving for the dead, and also the first part of the day. And we go to our job, and Job is also a slave in the Bible. And we spend our hours in a week days, the week days and a week days, like a trance kind of. And then we make our way to the weekend where we are weakened. We have become weakened,
Ah,
right? It's kind of interesting.
interesting.
And
Wow.
I've always wondered, I wonder if other languages have this aspect. I wonder if there are many puns and or homophones, sound alike words in other languages that have this like weird, confusing power. I don't know. Like I said, I know I'm kind of hitting you with
That's
something.
so interesting. In Japanese, we have many, so many, because our pronunciation is very limited. And how we express, so this might be confusing. In Japanese, we have three different characters. So two are, it works just like alphabet and ABC in English. And that's original to Japanese. But the third one, which is the first written word, is imported from China. So, like what you see, the first strong character here, it's wa in Japanese, and it means peace. So each character, like this was actually my parents when they went to China, famous choreography signed, made it for my parents. And then so wa, because it's the Chinese character, each character has the meaning. But this wa, the first one, it could be pronounced kazu wa. We usually have at least 2, 3 pronunciations for one character. So this could be confusing for you guys because you don't have that concept. But anyway, when we speak, let's say kami, you mentioned about hair, as in hair, like hair in Japanese means kami, but when you just say kami without any context, it could be God.
Interesting.
Yeah, so sometimes when we talk about ancient um, religion in Japan, we refer how important hair is to us because it's God.
And it's on the crown, which many ancient systems believe this is the portal to
Mm-hmm.
the god force or whatever, the crown chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting that your word for hair
Mm-hmm.
is related to the word God. That's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, and we have quite a few. So like, because of the limited, like Japanese pronunciation is one of the easiest. There's not much complication. Like French is very difficult. English, like we don't have R or L. We don't have V, F. So you might get confused with my when I speak in English. Like I get confused in between L and R. I
Mm,
might get lazy pronouncing F, V,
mhm.
E. So yeah. But anyway, we have a lot of puns in Japanese.
It's interesting, and the whole like hair god thing. See, that makes me think. Like I just gave you an example of a pretty sinister pun situation, going to your job on the weekend, on the weekdays. But you just said hair is God. And it's like, well, that creates all kinds of nice feelings inside of me. That's a different code. It's a different language.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's see what our commenters have been saying. Bill has been watching Lifting the Veil. English is a dark spell. I don't know Lifting the Veil, but I'm familiar with English being a dark spell, so I'm going to look that up. Yeah. Let's see. Can I say Sinite instead of week? I don't know that word either. That's why I never said good morning. Yeah, I'm trying to actually get myself off of good morning because it's like a weird juxtaposition. It's like good grief. It's like saying good grief.
Oh,
Because
really?
morning,
You don't say good morning?
I do because it's such a habit. But when I think about subconsciously, what I'm saying is I'm saying like mourning, like to be in mourning. It's like saying
Ah,
good, someone died. I'm grieving. Good morning.
interesting.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
even
we do have a lot of connection on that. Yeah, when we talk about like ancient language, and ancient language has been, we actually used to speak very differently. And I think because of the international influence, especially after World War II, the language has been completely changed.
really,
Yeah, so we have beautiful Japanese vocabulary that uh, only aristocrats would remember, you know?
really.
Yeah, so
And
we
how did it change, like for everybody else?
it was so the education has been changed. World after World War II, education has been written by Americans,
Yeah, you were
and
telling me that. I
yeah,
don't
they
think a
were
lot of people know that, Kiko. When
yeah.
you shared that with me, I was like, what? Like that was one of those things that I had never learned before. I don't, and I think I shared it with David. I don't think oh yes, I think he knew about the Marshall Plan. So he was a little more educated than I was on that. So sorry to interrupt you. Please
No,
continue.
no, it's, I mean, most Japanese people don't know about it either. They're not
Mm,
aware of it. I mean, it's just the education we learn, but it's just strange that we learn a lot of, American and European history and not so much on our history. And basically, Americans, Japanese were the only one who were wanted to attack U.S.
mm,
And Americans were scared of Japanese, even though we are such a small country. Somehow we had a lot of success during the war,
mm,
and but anyway, this is also quite a long story. But basically, Americans, after they won the World War II, they wanted to make sure that we don't have a superpower.
mm.
So a lot of things that we used to do to heal people, heal ourselves, like a lot of secret codes that they were scared that they wanted to wash off. So that was part of it. That yeah, the
Like
language,
natural remedies, like herbal
natural
medicine.
remedies, and like how do they call it, esoteric thing that they
Really?
felt like they were wondering like why Japanese had was very strong country, that we had a mystical like
Mm.
natural disaster worked for our um, benefits. Yeah.
The mystical.
Yeah.
Okay. And so after World War II, the Americans, as they were reshaping the education system, because I remember you were telling me they changed the textbooks and they
Mm.
designed the education system to be just like the US system. And so did they purposely try to erase that history?
Right. And also the law has been written by Americans as
The,
well.
the low?
Yeah, like Japanese law has been written by Americans.
I'm sorry, what is low?
Law.
Oh, the law?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
law. Yeah.
It's been written by Japanese or
Americans. Americans.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
This is not quite well known. I
No.
mean, it makes sense. Like Americans, we didn't become their in territory, but basically Americans rule Japan, and it's true in many countries. Like Japan, U.S. has the most power
Mhm.
for after World War II, so it makes sense that they wanted to keep their power and make sure they're under their control.
Mhm. Yeah, does make sense. Okay, so we got some comments here. I see different things. I wish you all stop sneezing, get a tissue, be more you. Okay. All right, let's see. What do you say instead of good morning? I try to say hello, but even that one's weird. Or I still say good morning. It's one of these things where I try to, since I started becoming interested in in language and how it has a subconscious effect on your programming, I I started just trying to be aware of the fact that it has an effect, as opposed to I can't change everything. I can't be so hyper vigilant all the time. But what I can do is I can try to maintain an awareness that there might be something going on so that I can
Mm.
try to protect myself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Interesting. Hmm. Wow. Hmm.
I know it probably sounds funny to you since it's maybe because it's the second language. I don't know. Um, Growing up, though, with this being my only language, I just take it for granted. Like, I just take these vocabulary words for granted. It's not a big deal. And I don't say bless you, be less you. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
See, you can find all kinds of really weird puns in the English language like that, where some people think, ah, it's not a big deal, but I do find it interesting.
It is. I think there was a time that I was digging into this kind of information, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. And I was paying attention. I was saying, it's interesting because there's so many things to focus in our life. And for me, it's good to know. This kind of information is good to know. And rightfully so that after World War II, certain people in power wanted us citizens of U.S. or Japan or wherever to be submissive. So that's why our education system, is like a military education system, right? And yeah, it kind of makes sense that they wanted to make sure that we follow the protocol so that we don't go wild. And it's good to know this kind of information. But I I don't know. I've realized like if you pay too much attention to this, you get kind of trapped in a, I don't know, negative spiral that I just I don't know. I just yeah, I try not to get stuck with this. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just what we focus on a daily basis, it's limited.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It makes sense to me what you're saying, and it actually kind of ties us right back around to what we were saying about beliefs, because I think it's really important to examine what we believe. If we run around thinking we're being manipulated all the time and we're focused on that, then we can end up becoming a paranoid schizophrenic in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But if we examine the information with a sort of emotional detachment, then we can just take the information, we can see it for what it is, and then we can make choices on how to make our lives better despite certain things that may be true and
Mm-hmm.
a little weird and uncomfortable. But the good thing about the world that we live in is that we have freedom to choose our thoughts and our beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So even if a belief does come around and seems to be taking hold of a lot of people, you always have a choice to choose
Mm-hmm.
differently.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to comment. Creative Hearts say
Mhm.
the U.S. has so much influence after World War II. Absolutely, and this is so evident to non-American. Uh, you might be surprised. France is also. It just makes sense that the most powerful country rule the world.
Mhm.
Whether you like it or not.
Mhm.
And now China and India and other countries are raising in their corner that they are strong enough, or Russia, they're trying to team up to so that they don't have to be submissive always to Americans.
Mhm.
But I think Race Lever says switching a word, getting stuck, working the subconscious can be done without getting sucked into the abyss. Yeah. So I think it's again it's good to know that there might have been manipulated and there is something that subconsciously that affects us. Um, and yeah, it's good to know as a base. And I think what I can do is instead of changing good morning, I would be a little more mindful on what I say. For example, oh, I'm so tired today. You know,
Mhm.
it's a fact, but like I don't have to relive that feeling. Like I don't have to declare to people, oh, I'm feeling better today. I don't know. Like I would change it. Like I'll be a little more mindful. Because if I skip good morning, I mean, I could say Ohayo or Bonjour because I speak the language. So that people say, oh, what is that? It just means good morning. I prefer to say it that way. But I think what we speak and Dr. Emoto. Have you
Mhm.
heard of Dr. Emoto, who is a
Mhm.
researcher who worked on that water molecule? And each word has a different pattern. And yeah, I think more people can be a little more conscious on what they say.
I'm glad you brought that up because that makes sense. It really does feel like words are so powerful, and that's why I find you very inspiring because I you make me want to study other languages because I don't want to be only I don't want to be stuck in the English, the American English coding system.
Hmm.
I want to have other options. That's why I think it's good to go to other countries. It's
Hmm.
good to have friends who are very different from you, who grew up in a different way. It's good to have friends who are of a different belief system. It's good to know people who have a totally different way of viewing the world.
Mm.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, I think it helps us expand, right? Like that's how I felt. And with music that you might not speak Italian, but you felt your core was there and you felt more comfortable.
Mm.
That's so interesting.
But it's such a beautiful language,
Mm.
such an expressive language. It comes from a culture of people who are very comfortable expressing their emotions. So if you're going to sing, and you sing in Italian, you're singing in like the ultimate singer's language right there. And also when you speak Italian, you hold your tongue. I'm sure you know this from speaking different languages. Your tongue gets placed in different positions and your cheek muscles are held in a different posture and it affects your feeling. Let's see. Kiko knows about words, spell, water crystal patterns, and she still doesn't care about words. Now I'm terrified of Kiko speaking arrogantly in French.
A great sense of humor. I appreciate that.
French is
So,
the most difficult one.
so this was fun. I know that you have to go, Bella.
Oh yeah, we're at that time already.
Time
I'm
went,
sorry
yeah.
we didn't get to go through all the comments, you guys. It was nice having you here though.
Mm. Yeah, this was fun, and Bella, again, thank you so much. Your questions are always so intriguing. It's intriguing, intrigue.
You got it right the first time. Intriguing.
Yeah, when I think too much, I just get going, and it's very deep, and it just allows us to look at things in a different perspective, which is so important as a problem solving. And we are always we have some kind of challenges in our life, and we sometimes we feel stuck and that we only have one solution. And I never connected this way, but Bella, with your help, I feel like being able to speak or learning different language, you don't have to speak the language. Actually, being able to communicate with people from different country, different mindset, and that just helps us solved in different way.
I agree. Your options become bigger when you're around different perspectives. You realize you have other options. You don't have to just go with whatever it is that was programmed into you. You know?
Mm, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Creative Heart. That's nice.
Thank you. Okay, so just to wrap up, Bella, do you have anything else that you would like to sum up or share any other comments?
I'd love it if everybody watching this checks out my series on rawvegannofriends.com. The first part was posted a couple days ago, and I'm going to post the second part by the end of today. And I think it's a good thing for us to all think about our perspectives, our beliefs, and what we think, like you said, what we think are our only options when it comes to perception. And consider that there are lots of people out there who have totally different perceptions. And so there's nothing wrong with us gaining inspiration from them and finding other options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your next topic? Yeah, we haven't we haven't. It'll be next week. We have the date next Thursday evening in U.S. time, I guess.
Or when, well, it's actually our Wednesday.
Actually, no. Next week will be 23rd Thursday your time, and
Oh, did we pick that date? Okay. Oh,
24th.
yes, we sure do. You're right. You're right. So
Yeah.
Thursday, our time, Pacific time, 3 p.m.
Right.
And we'll choose something. I don't know. Maybe we'll choose something from. Do you guys have any suggestions?
Yeah. Please go for
We're
it.
open. We haven't really talked about. Let me see. I'm trying to think of the beauty food series. We could talk about individual nutrients, and we talked about maybe doing superfoods at one point. Stub your toes, anti-vegans.
I'm gonna remove that comment.
It's such an innocent threat. I like it.
Yeah.
We'll think about it and we'll
Yeah.
communicate the next day, and then we'll decide on something.
Yeah.
But as always, thanks for joining us, you guys, and thanks to everybody who watches the replay as well.
Yeah. We didn't talk about raw vegans at all, but
You're
yeah.
right, we didn't. But and one of the things that I've been forgetting to talk about on my blog is that raw veganism is a belief. Like the whole center of our food philosophy is a belief, but we haven't even really touched on that, which we could talk about it some more.
I loved it. Yeah.
We could go in that direction next time. I don't know but it's funny. We never really talk about the whole belief aspect of being raw or vegan.
Yeah, thank you. This was very interesting. I kind of forgot that we never touched on raw vegans, but I really enjoyed it. And thanks for suggesting again for this topic. And I think from me, my wish is that I just want everyone to enjoy their lives, and whatever the challenges that we have, it's part of our life. And connect with people who can help you, or look at it from different perspectives, so that you can get out of that challenges that might not be fun to go through. So
I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing with us, Kiko, your perspective on speaking multiple languages. I hope it inspires viewers to study a language, because I think it's actually one of the best ways to get into. You can read books about other cultures, you can watch documentaries, you can have friends, but once you start studying the language, you can get deeper into the mind of
yeah.
culture, and that opens up a world of possibilities.
Yay. Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you, Kiko, and thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that's good. Yeah.